Good morning, guys. Welcome to class, everybody. What did I want to do? I'm going to switch my video on and just see how it goes. Yesterday afternoon, I kept getting kicked out of the session. So I'm not too sure. My Wi-Fi signal is strong, so I don't know if it's the system itself or what's butting, but let's just see how it goes today. I've only got load shedding at 2 o'clock this afternoon, so we won't be disturbed by that. But anyway, I have got a backup inverter, so my Wi-Fi stays up if we do go down. But I know it's going to affect students this week because we've gone to stage 4 from 9 o'clock this morning, so that just means more frequent load shedding sessions. So we'll do our best, but remember, guys, I do record all classes as long as I remember to press that record button. We've got the classes recorded, and they are all available. So any that misses a class because of load shedding or any other issues, you can go and listen to the class. And often, if you sit and listen to the class again quietly at your own time with a textbook in front of you where you can pause every now and again, you can use that then to take your revision notes, and hopefully it's also helpful. Okay, so what I wanted to start out with this morning, we got as far as the end of the present and future value of annuities and annuities due yesterday. And I want to just use question 2.4, I think it is, to illustrate to you the differences in the calculations for an annuity, ordinary annuity, and an annuity due. Just so that you guys you can see exactly how it works in the calculations. So remember yesterday I drew on the whiteboard. I presume it's gone by now. I don't think it saves that. I can just go and see if it's still. Oh no, that would be in a different session. Yeah, that won't be there. Although it might be. Sorry guys, I just don't want to mess you around. I just want to quickly check if the whiteboard is cleared. I think it will have cleared because we're in the same classroom, but I think this is a different session. So, but anyway, remember yesterday I drew on the whiteboard that table showing you the 5 years, and then I drew little crosses at the beginning of each year if it was an annuity due, and the little cross at the end of each year if it was an annuity due. And I had those 2 arrows going from the top left-hand corner down to the bottom right-hand corner if we were going from the present to the future. That showed you the direction in doing calculations. And when we are going from the future back to the present, we started in the bottom right-hand corner and we moved our way back along the lines until we got all the way to the left corner of the first line, showing that we're going backwards. I'll put that on the board again when we're in class and we can discuss it, so that, because honestly that's the most helpful thing to understand present and future value, and also whether that deposit or the money was paid at the beginning of the year, the end of the year, so you can work out how many periods you have to compound your interest for. Okay, but to illustrate that, I'm going to go through question 2.4 on the screen with you, so that you can see how in the calculations this differed. So I don't know how far you guys got yesterday with the work I left you to do on your own. You were supposed to go through all of basically everything up to date so far, but that would have been to review all of this annuity work, the examples and the questions, till the end of question 2.4. But let's just have a look at this. So in question 2.4 in your textbooks, page 39, the question says, we want to save 5,000 Rand per year. Okay. So as soon as you see per year, you know that that 5,000 Rand is then what? What's the variable? If it's going to be a recurring amount, then that variable, what name do we give that variable? Yes, it's going to be a PMT. So above 5,000, you're going to write there PMT. Per year over a 5-year period. So above 5-year period, you're going to write what variable? The 5-year period, 5 years is going to be what variable? Your value for variable N. Yes. Yes. Your bank is offering you an interest rate of 4% per annum. So 4%, that's going to be variable what? Yes, that's R is the percentage. And if you're using your financial calculator, that's the button has got an I on it. Okay, so now we've got a PMT, we've got an N, and we've got an R. And then it says compounded annually. So under compounded annually, you're going to write there M for Mary, equals 1. And I don't worry about that. I'll explain how that works when we get there. But I want you just to get used to looking in the question for the information. One of the pieces of information that you need to know for these questions is how many times a year does that interest compound? Because later on we're going to do questions where compounding takes place multiple times a year. So just get used to looking for that in every question. Today's date is 1 January 03. Okay, so 1 Jan 03 is the present. So that's today. So underneath that you can write present. Now let's go and see what they want us to calculate using the information. Calculate, and then they have given us 4 different things to calculate. So let's just look at the first one. We want to calculate the present value of annuity if the first payment is made on the 30th. Okay, so we have identified that the formula we need is a present value formula because they've asked us to calculate the present value of the annuity. Okay, so PV is what we want to calculate. You have to identify every question. Have they asked me to calculate the present value, or is this scenario a future value that I have to calculate? Which one? So we're calculating a present value. Then they have said of annuity. So we know we're calculating the present value of annuity. So now we have to ask ourselves, is this an annuity due or is this an ordinary annuity before we go and do our calculation? So remember, an ordinary annuity, yes, is ordinary. And why is it an ordinary annuity? How did you identify that, Kate? Yes, because we're making the payment at the end of the year. So it's the present value of an ordinary annuity, and the payment was made on the 31st of December 03, and that's the end of the year. Okay, so now let's have a look. This is an what I've got up on the screen here is an old copy of the module guide that we used to have before they printed the solutions in the back of the textbook. Formula, annuity tables, or the financial calculator. So those are the 3 versions that they've given us to calculate over here. Doing they haven't given us the manual calculation. Remember the manual calculation, if you go and have a look at what are we doing here, present value of an ordinary annuity, that would that would be example in your textbook. So go to textbooks now while we've got this answer up on the board, because this is going to be similar. And then you can follow along there to see. So we don't have the manual version on the screen, but now we've got the formula. Remember this formula, you're going to have to memorize it if you're wanting to use it in tests. And they might very well ask you, use the formula, although these last couple of years I've noticed they don't. They either ask the students to use the tables or to use the financial calculator. I actually think it's making the students lazy, because when I first started teaching this module, you had to, and the students had to use the formula to do all the calculations, which meant that they had to memorize them all. So things have got a little bit easier for the students over the years. So here's your formula memorized. We've already identified in the question, we've written above each of the little of the amounts in our question, the variable, we've identified which variable. So once you've written the formula down, it just remains for you to go and find in the question. So we want PMT, we wrote PMT above the 5,000. So that goes in there, multiplied by 1 minus 1 plus, all of that is constant, 1 plus R, and R we wrote above the 4% per annum. Just again, remember that when it's in a formula, you have to decimalize it. So it's 0.04. And then present value is to the minus n. And we identified that n equals 5. That's the 5 years. Divided by R. And that's again divided by 0.04. So you just fill in your variables, calculate that out on your calculator, normal mathematical scientific calculator, and you get the answer. If you were to use the tables, this is an ordinary annuity, so that's important to remember. Present value of an annuity is equal to, so what they've done here is they've just written the formula out again, but basically you don't need that there. Using the annuity tables, we take the rand value of the PMT and we multiply it by the present value of an annuity factor. So go and have a look at your table. Now I've pulled it out here. Go and have a look at your table on page 63. Always double check the title of the table is correct. This is the present value of an annuity table. And remember, I said to you in your textbooks that you must write above the word annuity on this table, you must write the word ordinary. Very important that you remember this. This table is only valid for calculating an ordinary annuity. As it stands like this. So we've got 4%. So we go to the 4% column and 5 years. So we go where the 4% and the 5 join and we get the 4.452 factor. So if you're using the tables, that's all you have to do. Look up the factor correctly on the correct table and multiply it by the PMT, and we will then get the present value of the annuity. Okay, everybody happy with that so far? Any questions on either of those two, the formula or the annuity table? Then let's have a look at the last method, the financial calculator. So if you've got your calculator in front of you, I don't know what calculator you guys have got. I've got two different ones. One of my calculators, I've got to make sure that it's in financial calculator mode, and the other one is just always automatically in financial calculator mode. So make sure that you have cleared the memories. My one, second function memory clear, 0 for memory reset and 0 for clear memory. Otherwise you can go second function mode, which clears everything, and then also just the on-off key, which clears. So make sure you clear everything. To make sure that your cash flows on your calculator are cleared, you press the little the CF. Oh dear, I'm not in the chat box. Press the CFI key, and then the the second function for memory clear as well. Make sure that everything is completely clear. I'm going over that because you must make sure before every time you do a calculation that you've cleared all the memories. Otherwise, you can get residual answers from previous calculations that then interfere with your calculation. Okay, so now the actual keystrokes that you're going to do. Press the number 5 and then press N across that top row. You don't press the equal sign. Then press the number 4, the whole number 4, and press the I button or the IY button. Some calculators have it as IY, some have it as just an I. Then type in 5,000 and press the PMT button. And then press the comp button and the PV button. And then you should have that answer on your screen, 22259 point, and then multiple decimals. Did you guys with calculators all manage that? What did it look like? Did anybody manage that? Okay, that's what I anticipated. Some of you are okay and some not so much. At the end of the day, guys, it is going to be easier if you've got a financial calculator. Oh, fantastic, Kashika, you got that. You know, I don't personally, I'm an old-fashioned formula type person. If I don't trust things that I haven't worked out myself with the pen and the paper and a normal calculator, that's entirely my own personal preference. I'm old school. But if you guys learn to use the calculator properly, it is the easiest way to go. Okay. Okay. All right, so we just have to keep practicing. Honestly, it is the best way to do it. I forget from one year to the next and one time to the next what buttons to press. So I've got to continuously look it up. There's enough in my memory already to now still try and memorize buttons in a calculator. Okay, but on the whole, are you guys happy with that question? Present value of an ordinary annuity. Okay, with the three different formulas. Now we're going to go and have a look at the second one, which is, where's my ruler gone? Which is present value of an annuity if the first payment is made on the 1st of January 2003. So remember, today is the 1st of January 2003. And now we make our first payment today on the 1st of January 2003. So remember those. Sorry, guys, my connection just disappeared for a moment there. Hopefully I am back. It looks like everything is okay. So what type of an annuity? We're going to ask ourselves the same questions. We've identified our PMT, our N, and our R. Now, I said the questions you have to identify as soon as you identify that it is an annuity, you have to say, is this an ordinary annuity or an annuity due? So this part 2 is what? Ordinary annuity or an annuity due? Yes, it's an annuity due because why? How did you identify that? Yes, perfect. And how did you identify that, Sipilele? Your first payment was made at the beginning of the year, the first day of the year. Okay. So this changes things because now our money has been invested for a different length of time. It's now invested from the very first day of the year, which means it will start earning interest from day one. So by the time we get to the last day of this year, our money will have earned, that first payment will have already earned interest over that whole year. Whereas with the ordinary annuity, we only deposit our money at the end of the year, which means it only starts earning interest from day one of year two. Okay, you guys understand that? So now we have to change our formulas for that. So where you use the formula, we've got an annuity due formula that's given to us, which so built into this formula is the fact that we are earning 1 more years of interest than we would have if it was an ordinary annuity. Do you understand? There's 1 more year involved because the money was invested at the beginning of the year. So just take a quick look. I'm just going to page back to the first one. Have a look at the formula here. Ordinary annuity, present value of an annuity, that A stands for present value of an annuity, is equal to PMT. So just 1 times our 5,000 multiplied by the 1 minus 1 plus R, whatever. When it's a present value of an annuity due, that changes now to PMT, which is the 5,000 Rand, which is the money we paid today on the 1st of January 2003. Remember, this is the present value of an annuity. So on today, which is the day I'm calculating the present value of the annuity, I received a deposit of 5,000 Rand. So this PMT here all by itself is that 5,000 Rand that I received today. It hasn't got any time to grow because I'm receiving it on the day that it was paid in is the same day I'm calculating the present value. So 5,000 Rand paid into a bank account on 1 Jan 03 is the present value of that is 5,000 Rand. You understand that? So added to that 5,000 Rand that I'm paying in today, I then have to calculate the present value of the other 4 payments that I made at the beginning of the other 4 years. So that's what this part of the formula is all about. Okay, so 5,000 Rand, which stands for, it represents the other 4 times I paid in 5,000 Rand, multiplied by 1 minus the 4%, and there we've got to the minus 4. Do you see that? The N is 4. This, I'm calculating the present value of the previous 4 years, and this is my 5th year over here. Do you see how we've had to change the way we've entered our information into the formula? So N is no longer 5 like it was in the first one. This over here is 4 of my payments. This one over here is the 5th payment. So that is to the power of 4. Calculate it out in your calculator and you get 23,149.48. I like that using the formulas to explain to you because they are constructed where mathematically you can see exactly what we are doing. So do you guys understand how we've now changed our calculation for the fact that it's an annuity due as opposed to an ordinary annuity? Understand the mechanism. Anyone got a question? Not yet. Okay. So now let's go and have a look at the tables. So remember I told you in your textbook above that word annuity in the tables, you must write the word ordinary. Those tables are put together for us for ordinary annuities. Now we know that we've got an annuity due. So have a look here. So they've written down the formula again, which is the same as we've got there because it kind of illustrates, you can kind of like graphically see, okay, I've got 1 payment right up front here and only 4 payments that compounded. So when you are using the table method for an annuity due, we're going to do something very similar to what we did here. We're going to write down our 5,000 Rand that we received today, because it is worth 5,000 Rand today. Its value hasn't changed. No time has passed. Plus 5,000 multiplied by the annuity factor, present value of an annuity factor. But have a look at this factor. Go to your tables, present value of an annuity table, the same one we used before. And you see the factor that we've got there, 3.63. You go to the 4% column, and you'll see that that 3.63 is for 4 periods. Okay, so Sarah, if you're on page 63, if you look at the title in bold at the top of the table, it says present value interest factor of an ordinary annuity. If you look at the table on page 62, the title across the top of that table says future value interest factor of an ordinary annuity. So you must just check at the name at the top of the table. Does it say it's a present value table, or does it say it's a future value table? And does it say it's a future or present value of an annuity table, or does it say it's a present or future value of a 1 Rand amount? They do take a little bit of getting used to. Don't worry. You got it. You got it, Sarah. Okay. I know. It's horribly confusing. And then when you see it afterwards, you always kind of think, oh, how did I miss that? Okay, so table page 63, present value of an ordinary annuity. So do you see the factor that we're using over here? That factor comes from the 4% column, because our value for R is 4%. 4% value for R is 4%. But now the periods that we've used the 4% column, but 4 periods. We've used the factor from 4 periods. This over here is our 5th payment. So we're calculating the present value of an annuity at 4% over 4 periods, and we're adding to that the lump sum of 5,000 Rand. And we get the correct answer. You'll always have this slight difference in the methods with the rounding. It's perfectly all right as long as it's within a few rands or 20 Rand of answer. It's acceptable. Okay, so Lalani has said why 4 periods. So, okay, look on the screen, Lalani. We're using 4 periods here. Okay, so we did make 5 payments. Okay, we made 5 payments at the beginning of each of the years, but only the yes, because you made the payment at the beginning of the year. So remember the question, if you look at question 2.4, it says today is 1 January 03. Okay, today is 1 January 03. And we made the last payment on 1 January 03. In other words, the last payment was made today. Or should I say, yeah, last payment, first payment, depends which direction you're going on. So we're measuring the value of our investment today, which is 1 Jan 03. One of the payments was made on 1 Jan 03, so therefore it hasn't compounded at all. There no time value of money has taken place on that 5,000 Rand because it was paid today. So its value today is 5,000 Rand. It hasn't changed. It hasn't appreciated, it hasn't depreciated, it's worth exactly 5,000 because it was made today, its value is 5,000. But the other 4 payments we have to take compounding into account for the other 4 because they were made, the other payments are going to be made. The dates that they've got are confusing. They said today is 1 January 2003. So in other words, we're going to be making these other 4 payments in the future on 1 Jan 04, 1 Jan 05, 1 Jan 06, 1 Jan 07. Okay. And we want to know what the present value is. So those other 4 payments, we do have to take compounding into account. But we must only have 5 payments in total. So here we are calculating the present value of the 4 payments that would be made in 04, 05, 06, and 07. And this 5,000 here is the payment that was made today, 1 Jan 03. So we're calculating a present value for those 4. And to that present value, we are then adding the present value of today's payment, which is 5,000. Yes or no? Okay, let's have a look at the financial calculator method while you think about that. So on your financial calculator, because this is an ordinary annuity, you have to tell the calculator, sorry, an annuity due, we have to tell the calculator that it's an annuity due before we start pressing buttons. So remember, the first thing you're going to do is clear all of your memories again, make sure everything's set back to 0, clear, clear, clear. And now we can start pressing buttons. Your calculator, just like the tables, assume that an annuity is going to be an ordinary annuity. That's the default point. Okay, the default is that an annuity is an ordinary annuity, in both the tables and your calculator. When it is an annuity due, we have to tell the calculator. So if you look on your calculators, you have got, again, depending on what version you've, there will be a key that has got BGN on it. That stands for begin. I've got an EL738F sharp calculator. This was one of the prescribed calculators a couple of years ago. If you've got that one, you'll see on the first row of buttons underneath the arrows, the second last button, the one that's got FV printed on it, above that as the second function, you'll see BGN and end. On my old sharp calculator, it's an EL733A, which is also a financial calculator. It's got a button all of its own with BGN on the button. So just look, the BGN might be a second function, it might be a button of its own. Everybody located that BGN function. If you don't have a financial calculator, you won't find that. So only if you've got a financial calculator will you find that BGN button. Okay, so Ashika's got hers. Okay. Sarah, I was just going to say, okay, Sarah's found hers. Okay. So now the first thing that you do when it's an annuity due is you press that BGN button. So either second function and press or just press it. And then have a look in the top of your screen of your calculator. You'll see that in your screen, you should now have at the top there somewhere, those 3 little letters BGN will appear on the screen. You've now told the calculator that the annuity calculation that you're going to do now, the payments take place at the beginning of the year. And now we can go and enter in our buttons. So we are telling the calculator that n equals 5. So we're telling the calculator 5 payments took place. So 5, press 5 and press n. But we have told the calculator that those 5 payments took place at the beginning of each of those years. And again, you press 4, the whole number 4, and the IY or the I button. Type in 5,000 and you press PMT. And then you go press comp and press PV, and you should get the right answer. How did it go? Okay, I'm telling you, there's nothing so fantastic as that moment where you press that comp and the PV and the correct answer comes up on the screen. I know exactly how you feel as you go with these calculators. And that's all you've got to do. Just keep doing it. Check in what you've done differently. Make sure each time you've pressed, and by the way, it also doesn't matter in what order you press these keys, and you can experiment. You can go just clear your memory back to, whoopsie, what did I press there? I don't know what I pressed there. And you can type in 5,000 PMT, 5N, and then the 4 RY. In any order, you can program those 3 variables in any order, and when you press comp PV, it will give you the right answer. So don't worry about, oh, I pressed the interest and now I forgot I've got to go back and press in the N. No, it doesn't matter. Any order is fine. Okay, so this is quite interesting. If you have a look, you see over here, our N was 5, but we set the computer to begin to tell it that it was an ordinary annuity. Sorry, guys. I meant to put that on silent. When we use the tables, this over here was the factor for 4, and this one over here was our 5th payment. When we use the formula, this value here for N, we used 4, and this PMT over here was our 5th payment. So in each of these methods, we did calculate the present value of 5 payments. We just had to indicate it in a different way depending on which method we were using. Okay. So you can see now also why I say the financial calculator is the easiest method, because in this method you don't have to remember that annuity due, that must be a 4 and this must be a, you know, this is the 5th payment. But again, the more you practice and the more you do it, you'll get used to it, and you'll be able to do it. It's just, if you don't practice, and if you suddenly sat down and you got this in front of you on an assessment and you hadn't practiced doing annuities due, you would not get this right. You would put a 5 in for the N and you would double up those and your answer would be incorrect. So that's why practicing it is the only way to get it right. Okay, so now let's go and have a look at the third one in question 2.4. So the third part 3 says calculate the future value of an annuity if the first payment is made on the 31st of December 03. So we've got an annuity, and what kind of an annuity have we got in part 3? Part 3 is what kind of an annuity? Ordinary annuity or an annuity due? Yes, it's an ordinary annuity. Yes, because the payment is going to take place at the end of the year. So we're going to have 5 payments, 31st of December 03, 04, 05, 06, and 07. We want to calculate the future value of the annuity. So at what date are we valuing this annuity? as at what date are we calculating the value of this annuity? The value of the annuity as at what date? Anybody? Okay, let's go back. Part 1 and part 2, the present value of an annuity if the first payment is made on the 31st or the 1st of January, and it said today's date is 1 January 03. So when we did the two present values, we valued the annuity as at 1 Jan 03, present value, and they told us today was 1 Jan 03, which is also the first date that we make in, that's the date that we made the first payment. Now we want to calculate the future value of the annuity. The first payment will be made on the 31st of December 03. What date will the second payment be made? What date will the second payment be made? If the first payment is made on 31 December 03, payment number 2 will be made on 31 December 04. Your third payment will be made. Yes, yes. Second is December 04. Our third payment will be made on what date? The third payment. Just keep going. Yes, 05. Where am I now? Fourth payment. Yep, our fourth payment. 06, and our very last payment. Yes, and our very last payment will be made on the fifth payment. Fifth and last payment will be made on the 31st of December 07. Perfect. So to go back to my question, what will the date be at which we will be valuing this annuity if we are calculating the future value of the payment, the value of the investment as at the 31st of December 07. Perfect, Michaela. So the two present value calculations, we valued the investment as at the 1st of January 03, the present value of the investment. Now we want to know on the 31st of December 07, what will that future value of the investment be? Okay, so we're now sitting at we were on day 1 of year 1. We're now on day 365 of year 5. And that's where we're valuing it. So we're now going in the opposite direction. So the future value of an annuity, if the first payment is made on the 31st of December 03. So look at the screen. Future value of an annuity. There's our formula, which is just given to us for us to memorize. PMT is 5,000. R is 0.04 and N is 5 years. Multiply that out in your calculator, and the future value of the annuity, when it has grown in value over all those years, it will be worth 27,081 Rand and 61 cents. Have a look at that compared to the present value. The present value was 23,150. For the annuity due, and for the ordinary annuity it was 22,260. the present value, okay, a smaller amount. Remember, when we're in the present, we'll always get a smaller answer than when we calculate the future value. Sorry, I'm forward too many pages. So the future value is going to be 27,000. If we use the table, so remember our tables are tables set up as a default to be ordinary annuities. So all we have to do is take our 5,000 value for PMT and multiply it by the factor that we look up on the table. Now we want the future value of an annuity table. Okay, so go to your tables, and this will be on page 62. Look at the heading of that table. It says future value interest factor of an ordinary annuity. So we want the column for 4%, and we want the row for 5 periods, and that's where we get our 5.416 from. So all we have to do is multiply the PMT amount by that annuity factor, and we'll get 27,080. Slightly different, nearly the same. And then your financial calculator, again, is easy. We just have to tell the calculator 5N4I 5,000 PMT, and this time we're going to press comp FV. Oh, sorry, one thing. Okay, carry on, do that. I want to just see what okay, who got the wrong answer on your calculator? Did you get an answer that was 28,000 something something? Anybody? Remember, our calculator was set for an annuity due. We pressed that BGN key. So every time you're going to calculate an annuity, you must check that whether is that BGN on the screen or is it off the screen. Because when we want to calculate an ordinary annuity, the BGN must be turned off. So if you still had the BGN turned on, press it off now. So you press the same button, you press BGN, you just press that button again and it'll toggle it on or toggle it off. You'll see if you press BGN, it'll come on the screen, and if you press BGN again, it will go off the screen. So now this is an ordinary annuity. We do not want BGN on the screen. Okay, everybody understand that? That's something that's the only thing with pressing that BGN, using the financial calculator, you have to remember to turn it on when it's an annuity due and to turn it off when it's an ordinary annuity, and you're going to use your calculator. Okay, so make sure BGN is off, and then you can press 5,000 and press PMT, press the number 4 and press I, press the number 5 and press N, press comp and press FV for future value, and then you'll get the answer that's on the screen. Did you guys get it? Everybody manage? No? Yes? Yes? No? Okay. All right, so you understand that. So this has been a very good exercise today to go over this question like this with you through 2 present value calculations, excuse me, and 2 future value calculations, because you've really got to grips now with the formulas, the tables, and your calculators. And you can see how, depending on excuse me, depending on which direction you're going, it changes your formula. Okay, so we just left with the very last one in question 2.4, which is calculate the future value of the annuity if the first payment is made on 1 January 2003. So now we can see the payment again is made on the first day of the year. So part 4 is an annuity due. So now we've got to take that into account. When we are using the formula, we've got a separate formula for future value of an annuity due. So this is what it looks like here. Have a look at the formula right at the beginning of the formula. So with the present value of an annuity due formula, we had an extra PMT at the beginning. With the future value of an annuity due formula, at the beginning, we've got an extra 1 plus R. Okay, and then the rest of this is the future value of an annuity formula. So we've added this extra little 1 plus R. So let's go and fill in our variables. 1 plus R, so 1.04. Why is that a plus? There, they've got a plus. I think this is supposed to be a plus. I think that's supposed to be a plus. Let me just see if I can quickly find that formula, present value of an annuity due. Sorry, we're doing future value of an annuity due. This is a multiplication. 1 plus R multiplied by PMT. Yeah, so this is correct. So that should be a multiplication sign. Okay, that's a typo. That must be multiplied by. Okay. PMT is 5,000 times 1 plus R, 1 plus 0.04 to the power of n. We are using 5 minus 1 divided by 0.04. So there, n is 5. We're going into the future, 5. So we are growing at 5 times. Annuity tables, we are going to take out this factor over here. Oops. On our future value of an annuity table is the factor for 4% and 5 periods. Okay. And we are going to multiply the 5,000 multiplied by 5.416, and then that we are going to compound one more time, because that last payment because all of our payments took place at the very beginning of the year. And remember, these tables are drawn up for an ordinary annuity. So when we're going into the future with an ordinary annuity, we only would have compounded 4 times. So this factor 5.416 actually only includes compounding 4 times. And that's why we are compounding this answer by a 5th time. Only because the tables are drawn up for ordinary annuities. Picture that little diagram I drew on the board. If the ordinary annuity payments are made at the end of the year, which means the very first payment we made at the end of 03 would only compound over the years 04, 05, 06, and 07 4 times. When you make the payment at the 1st of January 03, future value of an annuity due, that first payment will compound for the whole of 03, 04, 05, 06, and 07. It will compound 5 times when you're going from the present into the future. And then your financial calculator, you don't have to worry about any of that. You just type in, what are we doing here, beginning of the year. So remember, financial calculator, press the BGN button, and then 5N, 4I, 5000 PMT, comp FV, and you should get the right answer. Okay. So guys, you've got this question 2.4, you've got in your textbooks, you've got the solution at the back of the textbooks. Hopefully you remember what I said, and you've got this recording that you can sit with it afterwards and listen to it and listen to the explanations if you get stuck again, and go through it in your own time and make sure that you've understood it. You've got a question now about all of this. I know it might seem horribly confusing, but just go and sit down with a piece of paper where you can draw your 5 years out graphically, one underneath each other, and then work out, am I going from the present to the future, and was the payment made at the beginning or the end of the year? And then you'll be able to work out, when you can see what you're doing, it makes more sense. Just to finish off, I just want to have a look at the next section, the present value of a perpetuity, which is a very quick little section, and then you can mull over it yourselves afterwards. Sorry, I'm just waiting for this page to load now. It's decided I want to go back one page. Okay, question 2.5 is the example of a present value of a perpetuity. In your textbooks at the bottom of page 39, present value of a perpetuity. Does anybody know what that word perpetuity means? What is perpetuity? If an annuity is going to exist in perpetuity, what does that mean? That means that that annuity is going to exist yes, forever, in perpetuity, perpetual. So this sometimes happens. So if maybe in terms of somebody's will, and there's a trust fund, and it says in terms of the will, this person is going to receive an annuity out of the trust fund in perpetuity. So basically for the rest of their lives. We want to know what is that annuity. We still have to be able to put a value to it. So when you want the value, when we want to know what it's worth, this is the formula that we use. The present value of a perpetuity to PMT, which means what is the rand value amount I'm going to that, or what interest am I receiving on that perpetuity. Remember, we call that the discount rate or the cost of capital. I don't think you guys can hear me anymore now. It's kicked me out. Let me see. I'm just going to wait a moment to see if it comes back. Okay, so can you guys hear me or not? Am I back? I don't know what's happened. Okay, okay, I can see my microphone's moving again now. Okay, perfect. Okay, so here's our formula for the perpetuity. It's very simple. All we do to calculate the present value of the perpetuity is to take the PMT amount and divide it by the R amount. So if we go to question 2.5, it says we want to purchase 500, in other words, a quantity 500, non-redeemable 7% preference shares that are worth R2 each. A discount rate of 8% is applicable to the period. Calculate the present value of your investment in these preference shares. So the first thing we have to calculate is, what is the PMT? In other words, what is the Rand value that we will be receiving each time these preference shares pay out? I'm going to come to that in a second, Hannah, but that's very well spotted. Have a look at the calculation here. So first of all, how do you calculate the value of the PMT? We've got quantity 500, R2 preference shares. So the value of them is 500 shares times R2. And then we take 7% of that amount. That's how we calculate the PMT of 70 Rand. They will give you questions like this continuously now in your assessments where they don't give you all the variables. You might have to do some working out of the variable. And obviously you wouldn't be able to do this entire calculation if you could not calculate the fact that the PMT was 70 Rand. So watch out for that and make sure that you practice doing things like that so that you understand how to work it out. Did everybody understand that calculation of the PMT? I've got 500 R2 preference shares. So the value of the preference shares is 1,000 Rand. And the payment that they are making me, they are 7% preference shares. So my investment is paying me 7% of the 1,000 Rand each year. So my PMT is 70 Rand. The discount factor, or the discount rate that's applicable is 8%. Again, it must be done as a decimal, 0.08. So 70 Rand divided by 0.08 tells me that the present value, in other words, the capital lump sum value of my investment is 875 Rand. So Hannah very cleverly spotted that we only have a present value of a perpetuity. Why is that? Why do we not have a future value calculation for a perpetuity? What information would you need to calculate a future value? What information would you need that we haven't got? Yes, perfect, Kim. Yeah, there's no value for N. You need a value for N. You need to know for how many years must I future value this PMT for. Because it's perpetual, there's no value for N, it's infinity. So we can't calculate that. So for a perpetuity, we can only ever calculate a present value. And if you want to have a look at this, if you look at it like this, 875 Rand. Let me just work this out. Times what is our percentage? 875 Rand times 7% equals 70 Rand. So if we've got 875 Rand invested, and sorry, not just ignore that, it's 875, it's 8%. That's the discount factor, equals 70 Rand. 800, if we've got 875 lump sum invested, and it is earning us that discount rate of 8%, is earning 8% year after year after year. 875 times 8% equals 70 Rand. So we can test that our answer is correct. So 70 Rand divided by 8% equals 875 Rand, and 875 Rand times 8% equals a PMT of 70 Rand. Okay, so I'm going to stop there for today. So you guys can go over all of that. And I have taken today to go over work we've already done. I didn't carry on, but I think with this stuff, it's very important, because if you are very confused and you haven't got the basics grasped, then you'll battle for the rest of the year with these types of calculations. So we'll be able to catch up. We'll just have to work hard to catch up and make sure we finish everything. But I hope that, so have you guys found today's session helpful in understanding this whole time value of money things? Okay. So as you can see from what we've done by going through in detail this question 2.4, it's practice and going over and over, working out why did they use that? What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? You've got to keep doing that. You've got to keep questioning yourself, working it out, and that's the only way you're going to get to grips and understand this stuff. Okay, very well done, guys. You did super well today. So where am I? The 9th. I only see you guys on Tuesday again for finance, and then we will have a look at what's the date on Tuesday? The 15th. We're supposed to finish this learning unit on Tuesday the 15th, but let's just see how we go. So you can prepare and read through in the meantime the rest of the learning unit, and then let's see how far we get on Tuesday. Okay. All right. Thanks very, very much, guys.